something that should bother you more than it probably does. Right now, $40 trillion sits inside American retirement accounts. That number sounds like proof that we've figured this out, like the whole country is quietly stacking bags for a comfortable future. Except when you dig one layer deeper, the median IRA balance in 2025 sits at just $35,000. The median. That means half of all IRA holders have less than that. $40 trillion, median of $35,000. That gap doesn't make sense until you understand that retirement wealth in America isn't spread out. It's stacked. A small percentage of households hold the vast majority of that $40 trillion, and everyone else is playing a very different game, a game most people don't even realize they've already been assigned to. I'm going to show you exactly how that game is structured today, not with vague motivational advice, but with real tier breakdowns, real income numbers, and real monthly realities. Because here's the thing, a 2025 Northwestern Mutual study found that Americans believe they need $1.26 million to retire comfortably. The average American has saved a fraction of that, and most people are doing nothing to close that gap because they don't know which tier they're currently pointed at. Let's change that right now. Tier 1, the Dependency Zone. Savings at retirement, under $50,000. Monthly income, $1,200 to $1,900. In 2025, a record 4.2 million Americans will turn 65. That's not a typo. The largest retirement wave in U.S. history is happening right now, and a significant chunk of that wave is landing in what I call the Dependency Zone. These are people retiring with under $50,000 saved, which in many cases means zero. Their entire financial life rests on a single pillar, Social Security, which pays an average of roughly $1,900 in 2025. Claim early at 62 instead of waiting, and you could see as little as $1,200. Here's what makes this especially dangerous in 2025 specifically. That Social Security trust fund, the one that backs up those payments, is now projected to face a shortfall by 2034 or 2035. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's the SSA trustees' own forecast. And a Bankrate survey found that 80% of already retired Americans are concerned their promised benefits won't be paid in full. When your entire retirement plan is Social Security, that's not a background worry. That's an existential threat. Now, Tier 1 retirees are not lazy people who didn't care. Many of them worked their entire adult lives. But according to the Federal Reserve's own data, 33% of private sector workers have zero access to an employer-sponsored retirement plan. If your job never offered a 401k and nobody ever sat you down and explained IRAs, the deck was stacked against you before the game even started. The fix, if you still have time, open a Roth IRA this week. Not next month, this week. You can contribute up to $7,000 a year in 2025. If you're over 50, the limit climbs to $8,000. That's the catch-up provision, and it exists specifically because Washington knows people fall behind. Tier 2, the Illusion Zone. Savings at retirement, $50,000 to $300,000. Monthly income, $2,100 to $3,000. This is the most psychologically dangerous tier in the entire spectrum. I call it the Illusion Zone because it feels like safety when it isn't. People in Tier 2 retire with somewhere between $50,000 and $300,000 saved. Combined with Social Security, they're pulling in roughly $2,100 to $3,000 a month. On paper, that sounds workable. In reality, the margin between okay and disaster is almost non-existent. Here's the specific math that breaks Tier 2. A $300,000 portfolio at a 4% withdrawal gives you $1,000 a month. Add the average Social Security check of $1,900 and you're at $2,900 a month before Medicare premiums, supplemental insurance, taxes on Social Security benefits, which kick in once your combined income crosses $25,000 for a single filer, and any unexpected medical costs. The Bankrate 2025 Retirement Savings Report found that 58% of American workers say their retirement savings are behind where they should be. A huge portion of those people are Tier 2. They have something saved, so they feel feel like they're in the game, but the buffer is far too thin. What quietly destroys Tier 2 retirees? Debt carried into retirement. A $1,200 mortgage payment, a $350 car payment, and $200 in minimum credit card payments eats up $1,750 of that $2,900 before food, utilities, gas, or healthcare. The math collapses in slow motion. The one thing that can save a Tier 2 retirement? Entering it completely debt-free. No mortgage, no car note, no revolving balances. That same $2,900 a month with zero debt obligations is a livable, modest, dignified life. With debt, it's a slow financial emergency. Tier 3, the Stability Zone. Savings at retirement, $500,000 to $1 million. Monthly income, $3,800 to $6,000. This is the tier that every working American should be treating as a non-negotiable minimum target, not a stretch goal, the floor. Here's the actual math at both ends of the range. A $500,000 portfolio withdrawing at 4% generates $1,667 a month. Add the average 2025 Social Security benefit of $1,900 and you land at $3,567 a month, roughly $42,800 a year. In most of the country, outside of the highest cost of living cities, $62,800 a year is a genuinely comfortable retirement. Bills are paid without white-knuckling it. You're not skipping medications to afford groceries. You can absorb an unexpected $4,000 expense without a panic attack. Now, what does it actually take to reach $500,000 to $1 million? Northwestern Mutual's 2025 research gives us clean numbers. To hit $1.26 million by age 65, someone starting at 20 needs to invest $330 a month at a 7% return. Starting at 30 bumps that number to $695. Waiting until 40 and you need $1,547, nearly 5 times the cost of starting a decade earlier. The math on starting late is brutal and it doesn't negotiate. The people who land in Tier 3 are disproportionately not the highest earners. They're the consistent ones, the ones who never cashed out their 401k when they switched jobs, something 40% of younger workers still do, vaporizing years of compounding in a single moment. The ones who stayed invested through the brutal 2022 bear market when everything dropped 20 to 30% and everyone was panicking. Boring wins. Boring always wins. Tier 4, the Freedom Zone. Savings at retirement, $1 million to $3 million. Monthly income, $7,500 to $14,000. At Tier 4, retirement stops being a math problem you're managing and starts being a life you're designing. A $1.5 million portfolio at a 4% withdrawal rate generates $5,000 a month. A $2.5 million portfolio generates $8,333. Add Social Security, and at this income level, many Tier 4 retirees have maximized their benefit, which tops out at $4,873 a month by delaying to age 70. And total monthly income ranges from roughly $7,500 to over $13,000 depending on your specific situation. What makes this tier qualitatively different from Tier 3 isn't just the higher income, it's that at a responsible withdrawal rate, your portfolio at this level is very likely still growing. You're not drawing down a finite tank, you're pulling from something that historically replenishes itself. The S&P 500 has delivered roughly 10% average annual returns over long periods. A 4% withdrawal on a portfolio earning 7 to 10% net means the principal grows even while you're spending. Tier 4 retirees are thinking about tax-efficient withdrawal strategies, Roth conversion ladders, qualified charitable distributions, strategic Social Security timing. The financial conversation has completely shifted. The question is no longer, do I have enough? It's, how do I keep the government from taking too much of it? How do you reach Tier 4? Usually through a savings rate of 15 to 20% of gross income sustained for decades, combined with one or more of the following: real estate that generates passive income, equity compensation in a company that grew, or ownership of a small business. Tier 4 is reachable for upper middle income earners with strong discipline. It's not luck, but it does require intentionality that goes beyond just having a 401k. Tier 5, the Legacy Zone. Savings at retirement, $3 million plus. Monthly income, $14,000 to $40,000 plus. Tier 5 is where retirement wealth becomes generational. At $3 million, 4% withdrawal rate produces $10,000 a month from your portfolio alone. At $5 $5 million, it's $16,677. Combined with a maximized Social Security benefit of $4,873, a $5 million Tier 5 retiree is looking at over $21,500 a month, and the portfolio behind it, assuming reasonable market returns, is continuing to grow. These are people who have genuinely crossed the threshold where spending down their wealth in their lifetime would require deliberate effort. So they stop thinking about retirement as a personal finance problem and start thinking about it as an architecture problem. How do you transfer wealth efficiently? How do you fund grandchildren's education? How do you give in ways that maximize impact and minimize tax exposure? The 2025 annual gift exclusion sits at $19,000 per person. A Tier 5 retiree with 3 adult children and 5 grandchildren can transfer $152,000 a year in completely tax-free gifts. That is a significant wealth transfer mechanism that most Americans never get to touch. The most common path to Tier 5 outside of inheritance is entrepreneurship, specifically building and selling a business, real estate portfolios built over 25 to 30 years, executive compensation with meaningful equity, and in some cases, extraordinary time plus extraordinary discipline. Someone investing $2,000 a month from age 25 to 65 at a 7% average return ends up with just over $5 million. That's not fantasy, it's arithmetic. Most people just never sit down and do the arithmetic.
Here's what I want you to do right now. Not tomorrow, right now. Pull up your 401k or IRA balance. Look at your current monthly contribution. Then look at how old you are. Empower's 2025 data shows that Americans in their 40s have a median retirement savings balance of $221,118. Their 50s, $453,413. Their 60s, $544,439. If those numbers match your situation, you're roughly average. And average in American retirement means you're somewhere between Tier 2 and the lower end of Tier 3, which means the gap between where you are and genuine stability is real, but almost certainly still closable. The numbers aren't the problem, the behavior is. And behavior is something you can change today. Research consistently shows that workers overwhelmingly perceive themselves as saving too little, which means most people watching this already know they need to do something. The question is whether knowing that becomes action, or whether it stays as background noise for another 5 years. That background noise is expensive. Every year you wait to increase your contribution rate costs you compounding you can never get back. Pick your tier, set your target, start now. Drop your current tier in the comments and which tier you're aiming for. The gap between knowing and doing is where retirements are lost.